Hello and welcome to Friday's second edition of Cracking the Cryptic. I say second edition because there was a crossword video earlier, and it's a very, very long crossword video. It took me an hour and 45 minutes to do the masterclass today because the Times crossword was so viciously difficult. I have it on good authority that puzzle was by none other than John Henderson. By the way, for those of you interested in such things, constructs under the name of Enigmatist often. John is a very old friend of mine and a former winner of the Times Crossword Championship and a linguistic genius. And I was properly foxed for a lot of that video. So anyway, I had fun. But that's why this is the second video. If you're interested in cryptic crosswords, do check out that puzzle today. It really was phenomenal. Now, let me think. What are we doing today? In this video, we're doing Sudoku. We're having a look at I'll halve what she's halving by ChinStrap. We've had this recommended by a few people, including Sudoku, who is a very good judge of a puzzle. And this, I think it's got a whopping rating on Logic Masters Germany, and just about every comment says this is one of their favourite puzzles of the year so far. So I'm expecting great things, and it must be a reference to the When Harry Met Sally scene, isn't it? Which gives me a chance to make a good thumbnail later. So let's see if I can manage to do that. Yeah, it's got halvers in it today, so we've got some cells which are going to have half their value. I think it's region sum lines and clones as well. So, well, anyway, I'll read you the rules properly in a moment or two's time. One other thing to mention, yesterday's video, you must try this puzzle. I mean, it's so ludicrous. Think Outside the Box by Frippy. Just craziness. So believe it or not, if you're just given this little thing here, this 3x3 area of a 9x9 Sudoku, you're not told where the 9x9 Sudoku goes. You're not told where this 3x3 sits within the 9x9 Sudoku. You can completely fill in the 9x9 Sudoku. It is one of the most remarkably brilliant, it's so mad that you could have the thought that this is possible, and yet Frippy did and executed with aplomb. So that's a very hard puzzle as well, but it is really, really lovely. So do have a look at that if you haven't had a chance to have a look at it already. What else? Let's do some birthdays. Lyra, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, but your best friend Anton wrote to me and said that you were so passionate about Sudoku that you've even got Anton into Sudoku, and it's your birthday today, and he loves you very much, and wanted me to wish you happy birthday, which I'm very happy to do. And I hope that you have a great day with, of course, a large slice of heavily iced chocolate cake. Mary, it's your birthday today. I know this because your husband Jason wrote to us and told us that you love watching the videos while Jason has a go at the puzzle, and you'll sing if there's a 3 in the corner, and you're still confused about exactly who Maverick is. Well, it's a bit like the Stig in Top Gear. Yeah, nobody's quite sure who Maverick is. We just know he buzzes past our window in his aeroplane from time to time. Next. Well, now this is I think my fault, but I have what happens when we get birthday announcements is I put them in my phone. So my phone has, every day looks completely cluttered with stuff because it's people's birthdays from the channel. And I have a message today to read out a birthday for Ria from R2. And I can't find it. I've looked on email, I've looked on Instagram, I've looked on Facebook. So I don't know if I've made it up. I don't know if I've got the spelling wrong of both Ria and R2, and that's why I can't find it. I'm not sure what I've done, but hopefully this will ring a bell for two people out there, and I apologise to you both, and wish Ria a very happy birthday. And then finally, Sarah, your husband Jacob wrote to us and said that you've both been watching, and you might like a shout out for your birthday. So many happy returns. I hope it's a great day, filled with cake, of course, chocolate. Now, if you'll forgive me, last 2 or 3 days I've also had the opportunity to read out some fairly amazing emails that I've had from viewers, and I had another one today that I just thought was, well, it moved me, and therefore I thought I would share it with you. It will only take me a minute or so to read, and again, I'm going to do this anonymously. So we had an email, and it started off with the background. It said, "I consider my father a genius, as many of his friends attest, but sadly he suffered a stroke 3 years ago that rendered him non-verbal, but his loved ones have found ways to communicate. Prior to his calamity, he was a fan of puzzles, including Sudoku. It was a family thing. His father, an actual rocket scientist associated with the Apollo missions, and my mother, an accomplished biopharmaceutical researcher, would joust with each other over who took hold of the newspaper's Sudoku page until an eventual pact was made about having to photocopy the puzzle before solving it. It sometimes worked. To the point, as part of his rehabilitation, my father has pursued opportunities to retrain his brain. His prior scientific work included understanding the mysteries of how our minds work, including the grand plasticity of the brain, and I think he retained that awareness. Thus, he has maneuvered to find ways to retrain his brain. Solving Sudoku puzzles is part of his apparent strategy of rehabilitation. In his first year post-stroke, he would get hold of an easy crossword puzzle book and Sudoku book and attack them, often with very frustrating results. But he kept after them. This continued, and some of his children worried that it was only causing him pain. Recently, things have turned the corner. I think part of this is because he has generally improved, but at the same time he has become a big fan of cracking the cryptic. He will pick up your featured puzzles to give them a go. He loves to watch you explain the rules, which help him as his language skills are still recovering. It's rare that he can solve a puzzle all by himself, but he has recently had a few bright successes. We still struggle to communicate precisely, but as I understand him, this is all about retraining his brain, and he is all in. When he gets stuck, he will watch part of your videos, then stop them to go back and give things another go. Knowing him, I think this is frustrating, but he has apparently accepted that there's still value in engaging, even when it isn't a pure effort. I wanted to share this with you to tell you that you are having a profoundly wonderful impact on a good man who is struggling through life. Thank you ever so much." I mean, got a bit emotional reading that. Thank you for writing. I mean, it's just a most extraordinary thing to hear. But what I wanted to say to some of you who maybe don't try the puzzles because you think that they're beyond you, is all of these puzzles would have been beyond me a few years ago. You have to force your brain. Our brains are naughty. They're naughty things. They like things easy, and they like to, rest on their laurels, and they don't like being forced to think, and they'll even resist it. But force your brain to think. If you think you can't do it, I disagree with you. Try. And then when you fail, and you inevitably will, because we all do, try again, and then try again, and try again, and you will find over time that your brain just starts to behave itself a little better. It starts to learn manners. It starts to learn the Sudoku nuances, and you will improve. We've had lots of emails recently from people who have been astonished at their own ability to solve cryptic crosswords when they couldn't do them at all. But they've watched the videos, and in the end they suddenly find, look, I can do it. I can. We all can. And we just have to make our brains do it. There, I've said it. Anyway, let's have a look at I'll halve what she's halving by ChinStrap. These are the rules of the puzzle. We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. So we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3 by 3 box. Halvers. Place 9 halvers, 1 per row column box, into the grid. Each digit must appear in a halver cell. The value of a halver is half its digit. But that's immediately weird, okay, because that means... Well, let's get on to the region sum lines, but I think that is very strange because, for example, 9, if you halve it, you get 4.5, and that's not going to be very easy to put on a region sum line. But anyway, let's get to region sum lines. Region sum lines, it says, box borders divide lines into segments with equal sums. So let's look at this top line here. So the 3x3 box borders divide the line. We get to do some colouring into various sections, look, or segments. Now, each of these segments has to have the same sum. So if there were no halvers in the puzzle, well, yeah, if there were no halvers, the yellows, there would be 4 yellows. They would add up to at least 10, because they could be 1, 2, 3, and 4, which means, let's say it was 10, then the purples would add to 10, the greens would add to 10, and the reds would add to 10. But with halvers, lots of weird totals are going to be possible, so we're going to have to think harder about how to deal with those. And then we've got clones. I haven't done a clones puzzle for years on the channel, I don't think. Clones. The shaded cells are identical copies of the same digits in the same positions. I presume that means that domino is the same as that domino, that's the same as that domino. So it's sort of shorthand for saying those 3 digits are the same and those 3 digits are the same, I think. That is how I read that rule. Again, I might rephrase that just to make it very, very clear, assuming that does turn out to be the correct interpretation of the rule. But do have a go. I think it's got 3 stars out of 5 for difficulty. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now, I get to play. Let's get cracking. So, first thing I'm wondering about actually is column 9. Because what we're told is there's 1 halver in every row, column, and box. So there is a halver on here, and the halver is going to be on a line, isn't it? No. There's only going to be 1 halver here. No, okay, I don't know. I was going to think about whether I could use the secret of Sudoku to do something there, but I don't think we can. So the normal strategy with region sum lines is to, although who was the puzzle by? Was it Jay Dyer the other day who constructed a region sum line puzzle where all the line segments were all length 3 or something? So because normally the strategy is to, like, 2 here versus 4 here is almost brilliant. I mean, imagine this was a length 5 line, then it would add up to at least 15, ignoring halvers. So this would be a bit constrained. But I don't think there's a length 1 segment there. Oh, no, right. Right. Okay. This line is more interesting than I'd realised, because there are... Well, those digits have to have the same... So one of these digits is a halver. We'll use red for halvers. The reason we know this is that this, let's just divide this line into segments. That's going to be the way to do it. That is its own segment, this little cell here. This is its own segment. This is its own segment. That's another segment. In fact, this line's got about 20 segments on it. No, I haven't run out of colours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right. So there are 8 segments on this line, all of which have to have the same sum. Well, that's going to be very difficult to do, especially in this box, because you can't write the same digit into these 2 squares, yet they have to add up to the same number. So what I'm discerning from that is that one of those squares is a halver. Right, and the other one will be an integer. what do I mean by that? Well, it means that the halver here can't be a digit. It can't be odd, because if it's 9, if it's 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, half of those digits is not an integer, and I can't write a half. You know, I can't write 2.5 into this and 5 into this. That's simply impossible. So what's going on here is 2, 4, 6, or 8 are being halved. And the other digit, the one that's not the halver, is going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So one of these is very low. Now, the other thing we can do with this, look. Actually, there's a few things we can do with this. The one thing we can do is to rule out halvers from all of those squares, because we found a halver in one of those 2 squares. This square I don't think could be a halver. Because imagine one of these was 6, so these would be a 6, 3 pair. Well, the only way to construct a value of 3 on here is going to be to write the number 3, because we can't write a halved 6 because we've already had halved 6 in one of those, so that is natural. And then what do we do? I mean, I can't be... it really, really can't be 2 and 1 here, can it? Because then we're saying that each of these segments has to add up to 1. That's definitely impossible. I mean, the minimum value of those squares... I suppose there could be a halver, couldn't there? Oh, hang on. Well... Sorry. Yeah. This is fine. This is fine. The important thing, which I hadn't, sort of my brain wasn't telling me, naughty brain, this is an example of lack of plasticity of the brain. Right, brain, become more plastic. The point here is that, yes, it's true. One of these digits is even and is being halved, but it's the halved value that is the thing that's we've got to make all of these different dominoes sum to. Now look at those digits there. What is the absolute? Well, if these were 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's the digits that we put into those squares. Then what's the minimum value? Let's just put this in. What's the minimum value we could make those cells add up to? Allowing ourselves the opportunity to use halvers. Now, we can only have one halver, because that's all in one column of the grid, so we're going to have to halve an even number. And the maximum bang for our buck that we're going to get is if we halve the bigger number. Because if we only halve the 2, then those digits will have a value of 9. 1, 3, 4 plus half of 2 is 9. If we halve the 4, we get sort of double value, because the value of that 4 then becomes 2, doesn't it? So we get 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2, which is 8. Now that means that the absolute minimum value of these squares is 8, and they're 2 segments worth. So the absolute maximum value here is 4. Or sorry, if you like, 4. I could not have 3 as the value on the line, because if I have to make those add up to 3 and those add up to 3, I can't do it. It's impossible, because I can't create a total for these that's less than 8. So these have to be 4, 8. No, 4, 8. This is not 4. These have to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And somewhere here is a halved 4. So I don't really know. I'll do that, which is slightly naughty cross boxes, but it allows me to greenify everything in the column. So, oh yeah, lovely. So the other thing here is that these 2 squares now have to add up to 4. Well, they can't be double 2, so they've got to be a 1, 3 pair. This becomes a 2. This segment has to add up to 4, and that's a 2, so this has to have the value of 2, and the only way you can have a value of 2 is in making it a 4 and halving it. Boom. There we go. So we're slowly but surely understanding this line. So this is so strange to think that's got the value of 4. It doesn't look like it does, but it does. One of these is 8 halved to 4. That is just a 4, isn't it? That's just a 4. This, if that's a 1-3 pair, aren't we going to get deadlified? Oh, it's not. Yeah, so okay, that's interesting. So what I wasn't doing is looking at this square. If this is a 1-3 pair, which it isn't, there's many reasons that's a problem. The first is this square can't exist, and that's the most important thing. Imagine we didn't have this available to us. The reason I was getting concerned is there would be no way the internal logic of this puzzle would determine whether this was 1, 1, 3, 3 or 3, 3, 1, 1. And that would mean the puzzle had at least 2 solutions. Now, I can tell you ChinStrap's puzzles do not have 2 solutions, so this is impossible, mainly because of this, rather than the non-uniqueness point. And that means one of those has to be a funny old digit, doesn't it? A halving digit. But that digit is even. So hang on, one of these is halved 8. That is halved 4. So this is either halved 2, which is worth 1, and 3. This is weird. 2 and 2, 3. Or it's halved 6, which is worth 3, and 1. So, yeah, okay, and that's the same here, isn't it? That also has to sum to 4 in terms of values and can't be a 1-3 pair. So that is sort of the counterpart of this one. And it's either 2-3 or 1-6. And all of the even digits have now been used up. 8, 4, and 2 and 6 have been used up here. So anything else in the puzzle that's halved is creating. Anything else is creating a non-integer. That's interesting in and of itself. The puzzle might be about keeping halvers off lines now. Because imagine there was a halver on that. There can't be 2 halvers because they're both in the same box. So there would be 1 halver. So the line total would or the segment total would be a non-integer. So how do you create a non-integer there? You'd have to have a halver, you'd have to have a halver, you'd have to have a halver. So, I mean, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. If this line has a halver on it, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of the halvers would have to appear on it, and there are only 5 halvers to come. Now, but okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. What we can do, which is probably going to be easier, is we can think about all of the cells now that definitely can't be halvers, which I think is those. So there is a halver sort of by Sudoku on halvers in one of those. If you could get that to be a halver, that would be huge. Now, there's also, look, got to be a halver in the bottom row. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's so beautiful. Right. Okay, so there is a halver in row 9. I don't know where it goes, except now I do, because look at the top side of this line. Ah, that's lovely. Because the top side is 2 natural digits, it adds to an integer. So if we put a halver here, the bottom half of this line, because we're halving an odd number, won't add to an integer, and therefore we cannot equate this bottom side to the top side. So those are not so this is the halver, that's a halver, that's a normal. That means all of these are now green. There's a halver up there, which that's brilliant. That's exactly what we were looking for. Because now look, if I put the halver on the lower line, this is an integer. That cannot work. So that corner is a halver. And once it's a halver, now we are cooking with gas here. All of these are not halvers, but this line now has a non-integer total. So there's a halver in one of those, definitely. There's a halver. Oh, this is good. There's a halver in one of these. I think. Yeah, and literally we have just walked in to getting all of the halvers in the puzzle. Let me explain. There's a halver here, so these can't be halvers. But we know that there needs to be a halver on this segment, so it's here. So let's put in all of the greens there. That halver sees that one, so that's no longer a halver. This is a halver. That means this is a halver, this is not a halver. And look over here, this segment has to have a halver on it. So the halvers must be disposed in those two positions rather than their friends. And that's it. There we go. They are the halvers in this puzzle. And right, so now we know that's an 8. We know that's a 4. We know these are even numbers, don't we? So these are 2 and 6, and they go with 1 and 3 in their segments. So there's 1 3 pair here. I mean the other thingies, the other halvers are all odd. 1 3 5 7 9. I mean, I know it's a slightly excessive pencil mark, but I hope you'll forgive me. That's definitely not a 1 or a 3. There's a 1 3 pair here. That's not a 1 or a 3. There's a 1 3 pair here. Okie dokie. And what does that mean? We could argue about, I mean, this column's got 1 2 3 and 4 in it. So these, oh, I tell you something I haven't thought about yet, and that's the clone thingies. So the clone thingy is saying that, right, yes, this column means both clone numbers are high because they've got the left-hand clone number and the right-hand clone number in them. So all of the clone digits are at least 5. That one can't be 8, look, because it's got an 8 in its box. Actually, that can't be 9, because if that's 9, once we add this digit to it, we'll get a double-digit total. And because there's just no way to reduce these because they're not halvers, this would break. So that's not 9. Similarly, that's not 5, I suppose. So this is 5, 6, or 7. So the right-hand clone digit is now 5, 6, or 7. The left-hand clone digit is not 5, so it's 6, 7, 8, or 9. That digit is 1, 2, or 3, only because it can't be 4 by Sudoku, otherwise it could have been 4 as well. 9, 5, 4 would have been, I think, possible. 4 is on this line in one of 2 places by that fair-weathered friend Sudoku. 5, 6, 7, 9 in this row as well. So these 2 digits are quite big. they add up to at least 11. If they were, the minimum they can be is a 5-6 pair. So this top domino adds up to at least 12. Which is not interesting at all, I don't think. Oops. Okay. These are different, aren't they? So we can't play games with those, I don't think. I mean, that's going to tell us things like, because these are different numbers, this can't be 2 or 6, but I suppose that can't be 2 or 6 either. 2, 4. Ah, look. Right, this is massive. That little leg of sort of Italy-shaped segment here. It hasn't got 1 or 3 on it. So its minimum value is 2, 4, 5, 6, which is 17. And I can't put more than 17 in there, so that's forced. That's got to be, oopsie whoopsie. This is an 8-9 pair. And this is 2, 4, 5, 6. And these are not 4. And don't tell me that doesn't do anything. 2, 4, that's not 5 anymore. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That's not done anything. Oh, that's not 9. Okay. That's not 2. Gosh, that's remarkable. That's really unfortunate. Right, these are big. They're from 7, 8, and 9, definitely including. Ah, right. So by Sudoku, we know there's an 8 on this segment. So it can't be 8, 9, because then these squares would also have to be maxed out in order to get these to. If this adds to 17, so must this, and there's only one way to make 17. So in fact, that's going to be 15. This is a 9. Now that's a halver. So we can get rid of 9s in all the other halvers. And, well, also, this has to be 6, 9 now, because it can't be 7, 8, because of the 8 here. Well, and the fact this couldn't exist. So this is 6, 9. And what does that do? Does that do anything? Sorry, I don't know. Stop talking. I don't know. I'm trying to see if I can. Okay, this 9 means that's not 9 anymore. So the left-hand clone digit is not 9 anymore. So it is 6, 7, or 8. Which. This isn't 12 anymore. Because I've got to put 7 into this, on this sort of fish hook shaped one. 7 in this row is in this domino. So if this was 7, 5, which is the least it could be, plus 1 probably, that's 13. So this is at least 13 and doesn't involve 4. So these digits are high. They're from 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we know that because if we try to put 3 on here, the other digit would be a 10 now. In fact, we can't put 3 on anyway. So it looks like we're almost at the point of being able to say something quite interesting about, you know, about high digits in box 4, doesn't it? But how could we do that? We could say, I don't know actually. That digit's not 6 anymore, so that's definitely odd. Does that help us? No, I don't think it does. If we could get the parity of either of these two digits, we might, well, we'd get the parity of the other one, which would feel useful. So maybe that's what we've got to think about. The left-hand clone digit, is there some restriction on any of those cells? I don't think there is. I'm not sure. Could we get... Oh no, I'm stuck. I'm stuck now. Oh dear. It was going quite well for a while, but now I fear that I've got stuck. What could we do? We need to put 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 into this box in these squares. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. So 7. Oh, okay. Yes, alright. Where's 7 in box 8? And the answer is, as usual, I don't know. But I do know it's not in those squares. So it's in one of those squares, which means that that is not a 7. And that's what I was hoping for, actually. Because now I do know that this is even. So this must be odd, in order to make sure we've got 2 odd numbers here adding up to an even number. Although that doesn't seem to have... Does it help us? If that's 6, it's definitely 5, 1. If that's 8, it could be 5, 3 or 7, 1. So we don't actually know, I don't think. Wow. Okay, but this is 6, 8. Right, so we can now tidy up our clones a little bit, can't we? So we've got 6, 8 here and 5, 7 here. I don't know. I don't think it works. Oh no. I don't think it works. I'm not sure. I can't see how to make it work. Oh dear. Okay. No, got nothing. I've got nothing. Sorry. Let's do more Sudoku in the hope that Sudoku is going to get us out of trouble. I have got a whole cacophony of 1s and 3s in the grid, but I don't... Can I get to that one somehow? Those 2 are the same. These 2 are the same. Oh, it's hard to put one there, isn't it? Hang on. Hang on then. What's going on there? Let's just have a quick look at that. So if these are obviously the same, if this is 1, then that's not 1. So these are both purple. So these are the same. So that's purple, isn't it? That's therefore green. So green is in one of those squares. Now purple, no, but purple could be in the corner. Purple. How do we do that? I don't know. I mean, it feels to me very difficult for this square to be green, because then these 2 squares, these would all be natural digits. So this couldn't be 1. This would have to be 3, and this would have to be a 1-2 pair. Now I imagine that doesn't work for some reason. All I've got to do is to think of the reason. I'm not doing a very good job of thinking of that reason, if I'm honest. No, 3, 1, 2. That would be 5 or 7 in the corner. That would make a pair with this one. So these squares would be 1 and 3. Okay, no, I'm not seeing how to do that. Here's a tiny point. I can't put 9 here. That's very subtle. If you put 9 on here with the 7 pencil mark I've got, then the sum of this segment would have to be 17, because it can't be more than 17. But that would make this an 8-9 pair, and that would break that square. And the interesting thing I'm seeing that results from 9 not being in this domino in row 7 is that that must be a 9. So that's a 6, because that's the only place left for 9 in row 7. So that's 6. This isn't 6. I've got a horrible... Oh, I was about to say I've got a horrible feeling that's doing nothing, but it has given me that one. It's given me an 8 on the left side of the clone. So we're certainly going to avail ourselves of that. Right, that 8 gives me this digit and that digit. That gives me this digit. So now, no, that's not the way we wanted this to work, because that's still got options. Right, but what can we do with that? The answer is... Ah, I've got it. Right, where's 2 in this box? And the answer is I don't know. Again, it seems to be a common question and a common answer. But 2 is in one of those squares, isn't it, by Sudoku? And that makes that one 6. So that gets halved to have a value of 3. So that must be 1. So green is now 1. Purple is 3. And this, that's a natural 3. So this has a value of 2. And that keeps these halvers different. So this is now not 2. That's important. That is important. Oh, in fact, we didn't even need it. Because green was 1, green could never go here. Because we can't make these two squares, which are natural digits, sum to 1. So this is 1, which we should memorialize that way. There's a 1 in one of those. Okay, but that's still good. That's still better than we were doing. And what we've got to do now is work out... Okay, so there's no 8 on this line. So its maximum sum is 16. What have we got here? 5s, 6s and 7s, and 7 is definitely in this domino. So this digit can't be a 5. Because I was noticing it can't be 2 and 4. So I think it's 1 or 3. If it was 5, these digits would add up to 18, which is definitely impossible in the domino above. So this is a tiny digit. It is a green or a purple digit. I don't know which one. Bobbins. Okay. Oh dear. Is it to do with 2 is in one of those squares? 3 in this column is at the top here. Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I tell you what, I'm sort of steadfastly trying to I'm trying to ignore the possibility that we have to add up this line somehow and try and work with the halvers on it. Oh no, that just feels very difficult to me. Oh, where's 4? Where's 4 in this box? That's a 2-4 pair. So this row, this is a 5 or a 7. Right, okay, that's interesting. Right, so this is 4, 6 now by Sudoku. So that's not 6. So this, oh no, that's not how it works, because that's halved. I was about to say they add up to an even total. Well, no, they don't. Half of that, so that's 2.5. So this is an odd number plus a half, because that gets halved. Oh look, and if that's 4, that will be a 1-3 pair. If it's 6, Ooh, no. Okay, it's not 6, is it? If it's 6, this domino has to, because it's natural digits, has to be 2, 4 or 1, 5. And that's not possible. Because if this is 6, that's a 5 and that's a 2. And that takes away both of the options. That's good. So this is, whoa, 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 whoopsie. That's 4, that's 6. This is a 1, 3 pair. Which means that in the corner, there's no 3 in the corner, I'm afraid, is 5 or 7. Now, look, in our halver squares, we have 5s and 7s now. So those squares have to be, whoopsie, have to be 1s and 3s. Right, so in this column, what do we do? Oh, 4 we can place. So that's 4. That's huge. This is 2, 5, 6 by Sudoku, and that tells us that's 7. And if that's 7, that's... Whoa, I keep misclicking today. I'd be useless if I was playing StarCraft. I'd have lost my army again. 5 is in one of those 2 cells by Sudoku. And the total for the line segments on this top line, at least they've come down a bit now. They're either 2.5, they're either 9.5 or 11.5. So everything along here either adds up to 9.5 or 11.5. But if that was... No, that's okay. I was going to say that doesn't work, but no, that's fine, isn't it? If we had 1, 2, 3, 4 on this line and halved a 1, that could be 9.5. Oh no, that's... Okay, this digit is not 5. Do we know what this is yet? What's the maximum we've got down here? 16. Oh, that's totally possible. And the minimum is 13. That's totally possible. Bother. Okay, that doesn't... Oh, although there is a 6 on here. I hadn't noticed that. Oh, well, let's think of... Yeah, okay. So if 6 is on here, this is either 13 or 15, actually. It's not 16. So if that's 3... 3 would give us 4... No, we could... 3, 5, 7 is 15, which is possible there. Okay, so I don't think I know what this digit is. There may be a way to tell, but I'm just not seeing it. Right, okay. I'm trying to see what the obvious next step is. I know I'm failing miserably to do that, but it might be... Maybe it's to do with sort of Sudoku in cells like these. Or is it going to be about digits like 9 and where they can be in the world? Because if we do put 9, or maybe even 8 actually, 8 can almost go on this one, and if 8 goes on it, 8 plus 1 plus 2 is 11. Oh, then that would break the bank, because 11.5 is our maximum, isn't it? Yeah, if this is 8, I think there's a problem. If that's 8 plus 2 plus... Yeah, it's just too big. If this is 8, because our maximum at the moment, I think, is 11.5, we'd need these 3 digits to add up to 3.5. And the minimum value of those digits is 1, 2, and 3, which is 6. But when we halve the biggest one, it wouldn't take us down low enough, would it? So that is not 8. This is 8. So 8 is in one of those two. So is it also about 9 then? Somehow. And what's this? This is 3.5, isn't it? Okay. All right, I'm going to change tack totally. Yeah, okay. I'm going to look at this cell versus those two cells. Oh, that's an awful choice of colour. There we go. Because this is 2.5, and this is 3.5. So the value of those, the sum of those two squares has to be 1 less than whatever this digit is. So if that's 7, they have to add up to 6. And that's it. They can't. Whoa. Okay. I'm just going to double check that. If that's... Well, this is definitely... This is definitely one more. Yeah. I think that logic is correct. So if this is 7, I think this domino adds up to 6. It's not 2, 4, because this square could be neither 2 nor 4. And it's not 1, 5, because there's a 1 in one of those squares. So that's 9. Now that... Okay, now is that's not in a clone square or anything, is it? It's given me these digits. Right, so this is 13. So this has to be 5, 7, 1. That was our minimum. Because we do know there's a 7 in there. Right, that's huge. So 5, 7, 7, 6, 1. So this becomes 6. That becomes a 2, 5 pair. Now this being 9 means these sum to 8. So they are 2, 6. They can't be 1, 7 or 3, 5. And the 2 we know goes here. So that's 2, that's 6. And the total is 11.5 now for each of the segments. Okay, but we might be able to do Sudoku. Yeah, there's a 9. This is a 3, 6 pair by Sudoku on this box. That makes this square a 1, which makes the right side of the clone a 7 by maths. So that's 7, that's 7, that's lovely. That gets me a 5 up here and a 6 here. This is so beautifully set, isn't it? Now, oh, well, hang on. So what's this digit? That, the thing is, that could be a little old digit, couldn't it? Oh, look, no 3 in the corner, I'm afraid. That's 6. Oh, whoopsie. That's a 6, so it's stopping 6 going in the corner. Yeah, but I was wondering about this digit. And that is 2, 4... Well, it's definitely not 9, is it? Yeah, so the 9 must go here. Because if it's 9, we're already on 16. So this is 2 or 4. And it's pairing up with this. Oh, no, that's fine, isn't it? So if this is 4, we've got 11, and then we halve 1. And if this is 2... Oh no, 2 doesn't work, weirdly. I don't know why my brain can't immediately see that, but if that's 2, we're on 9, so I need 2.5, not 1.5, which is all I can get from that. So this is 4, that's 4, that's 2, and that's 1 being halved, which means that's 3, that's 3, that's 1. So here on this line, we've got 1.5, which means these 3 squares add up to 10. I would love... So hang on, if there was no 1 in those squares, they would have to be 2, 3, 5, and that would repeat the 3. So there is a 1, and it goes there. And we could actually see that from Sudoku. So these 2 squares add up to 9, and they're not 1, 8, they're not 3, 6, they're not 4, 5, so they're 2, 7, which we know the order of. So 7 and 2 go into the grid. 7 goes here by Sudoku, 5 goes here, 7, 8. That means this is 8. Right, what do we need in this box? This should be done now, shouldn't it? We need 4, 5, and 9. So that's 9. That's 4, that's 5, that's something. 9, I think. So these squares are 4, 5, 6, and we know the order again. 4, 6, 5. Ah, that is a 3 in the corner, I think. Yeah, 3, 2. Finish the box. 2. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. 2, 3, 9, 5. This column ought to be doable now, shouldn't it? Is that 2? 2, 5, 5, 3. Boom. What a lovely, lovely Sudoku puzzle that is. I'll halve what she's halving. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. This my favourite bit was when we worked out that we couldn't have a halver here because this was, I think we worked out that was an integer or something. So the halver got shifted up onto this top line, and then we suddenly knew, every segment on the top line has to have a halver, and that placed all the halvers. That was very, very cute indeed. It's a wonderful puzzle. ChinStrap is so reliable, just inventive and brilliant. And I love that. Let me know in the comments how you got on with it. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Oh, did I click tick? No, I didn't. Naughty Simon. Bad brain.